Bikepacking is this absolutely awesome thing, using the purest form of transport in my opinion, traversing through nature and exploring the world, one pedal at a time, at the perfect speed. You can cover many miles, all while enjoying the spectacle of nature that surrounds you on your journey. Whether that being around your local trails of where you are from or the remote corners of the world, bikepacking is a pure joy. Well, actually, as much as I love to share my adventures when they are an absolute blast, I do also like to keep it real, and sometimes bikepacking doesn't always go quite the way you might have hoped. So in today's video we will be taking a look back at 5 of my most toughest moments and the story behind it. Let the memories roll. This one was a fun one. Late October 2021, I had a mission, an adventure planned to ride across Wales twice to make it to Lake Anathon in the Snowdonia National Park. The ultimate goal was to get to this lake and have an awesome winter camp spot, and then simply ride back. Well, the ride in itself was a pretty grueling ride. It's Wales, and Wales is always a tough place to ride, even on the best of days. But this ride to this lake would be one long struggle. I would face incredibly strong winds, the type of winds that remind you of what the force of nature really is. I would have to power through the wind, the bog and the wet trails. But really, the ride to this lake was not the hardest part. I would arrive to this lake in this amazing location, and finally, with a break from all that bad weather I had to get to this point, I finally thought I was going to have the perfect night up high at the lake. The weather forecast was looking good, the sky was looking good, and I was looking forward to my first dry night under the stars. And in all honesty, I thought I was going to get it. Being up high, the weather shifts fast and the clouds rolled in. And the next minute, it started raining. Okay, nothing I haven't dealt with before, but this rain was relentless, heavy, and did not stop. The problem was where I had set up the camp. It was on the grounds of an old farm building. This meant the rain essentially had nowhere to go, and after hours and hours of rain, there was a good, massive puddle under my tent. Guys, this rain has literally been going on for about 8 hours now. Solid downpour of rain. And I am basically sat on a flood. I can feel it, it's all swooshing. I'm actually still drying here, but it's obviously getting a bit cold now. I laid in this for as long as I could, pushing the water away as often as I possibly could, but it would just keep coming back. After about 8 hours, at 4 AM, I decided to bail my camp spot and start riding off this very wet hill. Only to find that my dynamo charger had stopped working, my GPS unit with only 5% left. The return ride would have to be cancelled, and I ended up bailing. Wales tested me then, slapped me in the face to remind me who was in charge. This was a ride I was really looking forward to, ready to explore the beautiful Lake District. 120 miles of hilly adventure was laid out in front of me, and unlike many on this list, the weather had no part to play. This one goes to show no matter how much experience you have, we are all human and we will all make some silly mistakes at some point. And that's how this ride turned into one tough ride. Or should I just say, hike. The ride itself was already a tough one, but as I was travelling to the start of this route, I started playing around with the route, reversing it to see if maybe it'd be better to go in the opposite direction. While doing this, I failed to realise that when I put the route back in its original direction, the route had changed and added quite a bit of extra trails on lots and lots of hiker bike. So much hiker bike would follow. The thing with this route is that it didn't actually feel completely out of the question that these trails were not actually a part of the route that I was supposed to be following. I would hike and hike a lot on this ride, sometimes to places that I didn't actually need to hike to. I am actually quite grateful for that though, as I got to see lots of different parts of the Lake District. But I still think this route is one of the hardest in the UK, and considering it's not that long at just 120 miles, that's saying something. A very recent memories in the Cairngorms National Park during Storm Babet. A ride that when travelling to the start I had this feeling that things were going to get very hard very quickly, but never one to shy away from an epic challenge. I was not going to give it a go. My first day on the trails were windy of course, but it was my second and third day that would test my ability to endure. The trails become incredibly hard to ride, which is one thing, but when there are winds of up to 60 miles an hour, it can be intense. Climbing to the highest point on this ride with them 60 mile an hour winds and the rain smashing my face to pieces, unable to ride not just because the trails are just way too technical for me, but just getting blown off the trails when I finally managed to sit on the bike. You know the conditions are relentless when I decide to use a bovvy. It's not often I do, and the night in the bovvy was a welcome one, but the sounds of the roof getting battered, the bovvy squeaking and creaking, I did wonder at moments if it would hold up through the night. Storm Babet was a pretty intense storm to ride through on some really tough trails. I just had to take it step by step to get to the end of this one. If you have been following this channel for a while now, then you may remember this one, the first attempt and crossing Wales along the Trans-Cambrian Way, and maybe the only ride that I bailed on this channel and got a hotel room for the night. Well, this one was bittersweet, but another adventure and another storm with a name. This time the name was Storm Barra. Another winter adventure, early December. I love a challenge, so Wales at this time was certainly going to be just that. I would start in the rain, but I would finish in the snow. After an insanely hard first day on the trails where I managed to ride maybe 40 miles for the entire day, I'm honestly not sure how I got that far. But I would be ending my first day in Elan Valley. I had managed to find somewhere just about sheltered when I set up the tent, but not long after the wind would change direction. I am in camp. Today has literally been the most brutal day of my life. 40 miles, 7,500 feet of climbing and non-stop headwinds and crosswinds, and they're just brutally cold. Everything's soaking wet. I'm soaking wet, but I'm in the tent. Just I'm in like a little wooded area, so I'm a bit sheltered from all the wind. But yeah, it's a little bit crazy out there. With the winds of Storm Barra smashing into the side of my tent, I would not sleep much this night. In fact, a lot of the night was just trying to position myself in a way to keep the tent in one place. But the night wasn't the worst part, and I still wanted to continue. I was quick to get up this morning at first light. The rain that I had thought was hitting my tent was in fact not rain, but snow. Elan Valley is an absolutely stunning place to ride your bike on a nice day. In fact, seeing Elan Reservoir how I would see it this morning was magical. So why is this on the toughest moments, I hear you ask? Well, as I made my way around Elan Reservoir, the winds of Storm Barra was directly in my face. Freezing cold winds, with ice cold rain and slushy snow. I tried to pedal on. I fought hard, but after 3 to 4 hours and only covering just about 10 miles, I had to call it quits. The 10 miles I had covered took me about 20 minutes in the opposite direction. I would have to bail. I turned around, I headed to the next built up place, which was Ryder, and I found myself a hotel for the night. Still have great fond memories of this one, the Great North Trail. Most importantly, the first 3 or 4 days of this trip. It literally did not stop raining, not even for a little bit. I mean, the day I rocked up to the start line and I introed the video, there was thunder and lightning. Great North Trail. What a way to start. The fact that I had to ride along the Pennine Bridleway, which if you are a long-time viewer of this channel, you will know is probably my least favourite trail in the UK. It always breaks me, it's slow going, and the gates. Don't get me started on the gates. So riding through the wettest conditions. On my least favourite trails, what made this worse is that it was from the get-go. If you've ever been out already riding for a couple days, at least you're in the swing of things. But nope, the very moment, quite literally, I started this ride, I was thrown into the worst of it. 4 days straight, non-stop rain, waking up with everything wet and going to bed with everything wet. These 4 days of the Great North Trail were pure hell. So you see, bikepacking is pretty damn amazing, right? You get to traverse the world one pedal at a time, and sometimes you get to test yourself, push yourself further than you ever thought possible, experience the highs and lows of adventure, see the world in a different light, endure everything Mother Nature has to throw at you.